Supermassive Games' The Quarry became an instant hit. With its horror theme and its intriguing characters, it kept players on the edge of their seats. While the game itself is simple, the complexity comes from the fact that you'll have to put your horror movie knowledge to good use. And that's exactly what the Reddit community did to figure out what'll happen to each character. Let's take a look at a few fan theories. First up, it could be both slasher/monster genre. As hilarious as it sounds, The Quarry is a horror game that also incorporates humor into its narrative. It's kinda weird, but that's what keeps us entertained and coming back for more. For example, if you're in the attic and the lights don't work, you have the option to continue lurking or to come back in the morning. How many times have we yelled at the characters in a scary movie because they just wouldn't listen? Well, you get the idea. So fans are confused about one thing. Is it a monster or a slasher game? One Reddit user thinks that it could be both. It's a game after all, and seeing how some games implement two different genres, this is very much possible. If you're confused about what we're trying to say, we'll make it simple. There is a huge difference between monster and slasher games. While they're all related to the horror genre, monster games implement elements of fantasy and the supernatural. So anyways, fans on Reddit think that the game could be both, because Supermassive Games always has a monster in them. There's a pattern that they follow, and this game wouldn't be an exception. And if it is, then the poster would be extremely misleading. What could the monsters be? So let's say that there are monsters, and not just a serial killer. Fans believe that if SMG will incorporate monsters into the game, then there can only be two options: vampire or werewolf. It's not because these two supernatural beings are the most popular, or that they're going for the age-old rivalry between vamps and wolves. Fans predict it could be because we see something fly at the beginning of the game. In folklore, vampires could fly. In recent years, they've been depicted as something else, but fans believe that the ability to turn into bats has to be one of the major clues. It's either that or it's a werewolf. For those who believe that the monster is a werewolf, they think that the creature wasn't flying, but actually just jumping really fast. It's true that werewolves have the ability to jump at great lengths and at heights. This very well could be it. Another reason for this theory is that the fans say that in the trailer we hear howls and growls, indicating that there is definitely a werewolf involved. Well, to be fair, we do agree and think that most movies depict vampires to be silent killers. Vampires also take on the form of humans, and they keep their form until they have to attack. Also, they're known to be pretty calm and mild-mannered compared to werewolves. Wolves have animalistic tendencies and actually attack on sight, whereas vamps only lose control at the sight of blood. But one thing to be noted is that in folklore, when you lock the doors and everything, vampires actually need permission to enter your home. As weird as it sounds, they're pretty polite creatures, even though they're extremely evil. So if the players hide in the cabin and lock the doors, vampires can't come in until they're let in. But then there's also a theory that no one but one Reddit user thought of. The monster could be a chupacabra. The name comes from the animal's reported vampirism. The chupacabra is said to attack and drink the blood of livestock, including goats. But here's the thing. These creatures are only known to attack livestock and other animals. So it doesn't make sense for them to hide in the woods and attack a bunch of campers, right? While the theory is nice, it's also flawed. Let's say that there was a chupacabra lurking in the shadows. It won't attack humans. In fact, it might get scared. But the Redditor that posted that theory said that this is where the monster and slasher thing comes into play. The beast scares people off, and they believe that something supernatural is in the woods. They panic, they get lost, or stay frozen in one place. Then the actual killer takes advantage of this and gets to them before anyone can find out. This way, nobody knows the killer's identity, and everyone can blame the reptilian for the dead bodies. Sounds kind of promising. But others have dismissed this theory, saying that they've watched the trailer several times at different speeds. They think that the sound was from a bear, and that it was only added to give dramatic effect. Also, SMG's previous game had vampires, so fans doubt that they would use the same concept. Well, here's hoping we do see an interesting creature. What do you guys think? Next, it could be a cult. Another really interesting theory, and we believe is a very promising one. There is a cult. There is some kind of cult that is demonizing the woods. They have supernatural powers, and they very well could be summoning wolves or demons. Something sinister happens every time there's a full moon. While a lot of Redditors theorize that this could be an indication of a werewolf, it could also be something else. Some cults kidnap and brainwash their victims so that they can perform some kind of black magic. As scary as it sounds, sounds, dark magic is always strongest when there's a full moon. There are also human sacrifices, so that explains why everyone's gone missing one by one. The cult probably needs a specific number of people to complete their ritual. We also see someone, a buff-looking guy, dragging a boy away in the trailer. He has a firearm, but not a holster, so it shows that he might not be a hunter. Even if he is, he's not a very skilled one. This means that he could very well have been hired by the cult to grab victims they could use for human sacrifice. And they knew that the teachers and kids would be there for another night, so they messed around with their bus. It wasn't a mere coincidence that the bus suddenly broke down. Someone definitely did mess around with it. Another theory is that the cult is gathering as many people as possible to make some kind of army. It could be a werewolf army because at the end of the trailer we see a man howling. If you get bitten by one, you yourself become one. So that could be a plausible reason. Up next, Max and Laura are prologue characters. One Redditor believes that Max and Laura are both prologue characters. This means that the decisions the players take could mean only one of them will survive and make it to the game. If you take certain decisions, it's possible that you could kill Laura. And if you take decisions that are beneficial for Max, his chances of surviving increase. As messed up as it sounds, both characters can't survive and live. Only one of them will make it and see the end of everything. Redditors said that they would choose Max because they love his character more. If they were given a choice, they'd kill Laura off. But at the same time, some fans believe that she's more important out of the two because her face is on the poster. But at the same time, they could just be using her face for the aesthetics because female characters attract more customers, as screwed up as it sounds. And Chris is the serial killer. Chris is definitely up to no good, and it shows. Even if he's not the killer, there is something he knows that he's not letting anyone else in on. When the group arrives and he welcomes them, one of the first things he does is warn them about staying outside at night. He tells them to lock their cabin doors and to be very careful when staying at the cabin. If Chris isn't the monster, he definitely has something to do with it. Maybe he's involved with the cult and actually the one luring people in for human sacrifices. Maybe he wants the kids to stay at his camp so he could feed them to the monster. He very well could be the hunter guy we see in the trailer, the one who's dragging the boy away. Fans also pointed out that he has a motto for his camp, which is, "What doesn't kill you makes you stronger." And that sounds a little creepy. Although we do believe that it could be his favorite quote or something to do with camp activities. But in the Quarry, you never know. The game is linked to Until Dawn and the House of Ashes. While the Quarry is considered the spiritual successor to Until Dawn, fans believe that it could be linked to House of Ashes. They believe that the storyline for all three games take place in one universe, which is why the werewolves and vampire theories work out. Of course, we can't assume anything just yet, and maybe they are linked in some way, but not the way we believe. That's a wrap for this video. Which technology do you think is going on in the Quarry? Leave a comment down below and let us know what you think. Please give the video a thumbs up and subscribe to our channel for more videos like this. I'll see you in the next one.